Attention Kmart shoppers, we are returning to the place where retailer dreams come true. A place where you can buy all manner of household goods at a low price and still have enough money to get a grilled cheese sandwich. A place that many people have ingrained into their childhoods, and a place which went bankrupt and now no longer exists. A place once called Kmart. But what can we learn about this memorable retailers? Well, today we're going to return to the long aisles and fluorescent lights as we explore 10 things that you didn't know about Kmart. A unique part of yesteryear culture, of which has a history that spans over 100 years. So let's check it out, shall we? So today we are going to cover over 100 years of history as we check out Kmart. Now, please stick around for this one, as there will be a nice surprise in the number one spot. Regardless, it's actually really sad that Kmart is now no longer with us, like a long lost friend. So, before we get into the countdown, I'm gonna set the mood by playing some sad music, so we can really feel it in the heart. Whoops, wrong side. Oh yeah, I'm really feeling it. Right in the heart. Number 10, its origins go back to the 1800s. Kmart starts with its founder, American businessman Sebastian Spurring Kresge. And yes, the K in Kresge is where the K in Kmart comes from. The chain of events start when Kresge was a travelling salesman for the Woolworths Company, and he personally knew its founder, Frank Winfield Woolworth. It was 1897 when Kresge decided that he wanted to go into business for himself and start his own department store, back then known as five and dime stores. One that would become known for offering affordable goods, top quality at low prices. It was set up in Memphis, Tennessee, and Kresge used $6,700 of his own money to set up the store, and was simply known as an SS Kresge store. And then a second store was set up in Detroit, and so by the time you get to 1912, there would be 85 stores set up in Delaware, and the company would get recognized by the New York Stock Exchange in 1918. Number 9, surviving tough times. In the early 1900s, the Kresge Company was flying high in a one-way rocket to success. It seemed that nothing could stop this store. Sebastian Kresge himself had about $375 million by 1925, and in the next few years, the amount of stores would drastically jump from 575 stores to 597. Yep, nothing could stop the Kresge department stores. That is until the Great Depression happened, and suddenly the department chain didn't seem so unstoppable, with several stores closing down. I guess people just didn't have enough spare change to buy a top hat and pipe. But thankfully for the company, it did seem to get back into its winning trajectory by the year 1940. And then World War II happened. Okay, so World War II itself didn't impact the company, but in the wake of that war, shopping habits were changing as more and more people were leaving the cities and heading for new lives in the suburbs. So the Kresge Company had to keep up with the times and expand nationwide, not just in cities. Number 8, the birth of Kmart. It was the 1960s, and people were listening to the Beatles and watching Batman, and the Kresge Company were planning on building yet another department store in Michigan. Business as usual. However, this one was going to be bigger and better in every single way possible. And the company's at the time leading executive, Harry B. Cunningham, decided to call this new store Kmart instead of Kresge, where in 1962 this new variant of the store opened, which took inspiration from fellow retailer Ann and Hope. Kmart was here, and at 80,000 feet was larger than anything that came before it. And as that year went on, this new Kmart format would continue to grow and reach other parts of America. However though, in 1966, Kmart's father, Sebastian Spurring Kresge, passed away at the age of 99, leaving behind his legacy to those who are now in charge of his company. Incidentally, Kmart at this time started Kmart grocery stores called Kmart Quality Foods, which would last until it got discontinued in 1993. Number 7. Kmart takes over. It was now the 70s. Disco was king and Star Wars took the world by storm. And Kmart was thriving. Now, pre-existing SS Kresge stores that weren't doing too well were converted into new stores called Jupiter, and it was a low discount store. Kmart itself was already something of a discount store, but Jupiter was even lower. Like, a low turbo discount establishment. Like, I guess you went there if you were really struggling. Between the efforts and successes of Kmart, Kresge stores, and Jupiter, many competing chains were put out of business. In 1977, the SS Kresge Company would officially become the Kmart Corporation, with the Kresge aspect of the company dissolving fully into Kmart. And as the 80s went on, Kmart would sell off its remaining Kresge and Jupiter stores. With Kmart now a big enterprise, led to many theories as to what the K actually meant, with some speculations that it stood for crazy savings or cash only. No, it just stood for Kresge. Number 6. Kmart's greasy utopia. So the 80s were probably the most successful time for Kmart, where by 1981 there were 2,000 stores, and Kmart decided to branch out into not only providing goods for shoppers, but also other services, like auto repair garages, and of course the infamous Kmart cafeterias, which incidentally in Australia were called Hollies, where customers can take a break from shopping and relax with a coffee, and maybe something to eat as well. Now to a degree, the cafes were there from the very beginning in the 60s, but did become a more prominent feature with the Kmart experience in the 80s. The cafeterias offered an array of hot dogs, burgers, fries, grilled cheese sandwiches, boxed up Happy Meal styled meals for kids, and slushies with enough food colouring in them to give you multicoloured pee. The Kmart cafeterias would become a standout feature to many who grew up visiting the stores with their parents. However, as fun as those memories were, there were those who claimed that the food wasn't that good and probably wasn't entirely up to FDA standards, with it being the hallmark of where kids would discover cholesterol and disappointment. Okay, I swear I got that line from somewhere, I just can't remember where. A place they would enter with open hearts and open dreams, but leave with a whole heap of regret. But still cherish those nostalgic memories nevertheless. Number 5. The Blue Light Specials. Something else that would become an iconic part of the Kmart landscape was the flashing blue light specials, where suddenly out of nowhere, a blue siren would be flashing in the store with the announcement of a temporary discount on a particular item, of which you have to hurry quick because this discount is going to end any minute now, so hurry up! Which psychologically created a sense of urgency within shoppers to suddenly take part in whatever grand discount was happening. And these announcements were random and on the spot too. You could be shopping to buy a television set, but instead end up having to buy a frying pan thanks to the frenzied flashing blue light alerts. This Kmart custom started in 1965 in a Kmart store in Indiana, where the store manager was having trouble shifting wrapping paper after the Christmas season, so he placed a blue light on a shopping cart and placed it where the wrapping paper display was, and it was successful. Customers suddenly had an urge to buy wrapping paper at a post-Christmas time. It makes you think that there must be something psychological going on, that it's a way of convincing people that they need to buy something that they probably otherwise wouldn't, like something they actually really don't need. And the added intensity of a flashing blue light, which we instantly psychologically identify with emergencies like police or medical issues, just adds to the sudden urgent need for said item. Regardless, this gimmick spread to other Kmart stores and became a staple of the company. Number 4. Kmart International. Kmart became so big and successful in the States, it would head out to set up stores in other parts of the world. Firstly, Kmart would open up in Canada in 1963. Then in 1969, Kmart would become a retailer in Australia too, where it would have great success. From here, over the decades, Kmart would also open up in Europe, including communist-era locations like Czechoslovakia. as well as Mexico, the Caribbean, or as some people call it, the Caribbean, and Puerto Rico, making Kmart a global sensation. As the 90s would go on, Kmart would often try to rebrand itself, where there was the Super Kmart Center, as well as Big Kmart. So Kmart was always trying to find ways to be bigger and better. Number 3. Kmart collaborations. Kmart would often do promotion and tie-ins with other celebrities and brands. For example, Kmart would sell certain Michael Jordan products, as well as promote E! News, Sesame Street, and Kmart even had a product placement deal with the Warner Brothers network to have cast members of Warner Brothers shows wear Kmart clothing. However, the most well-known Kmart celebrity pairing is without a doubt businesswoman, TV personality, and Snoop Dogg's friend, Martha Stewart. Where in 1997, Kmart launched the Martha Stewart Everyday line, which promised high-market lavish household items sold at a discount price. This Martha Stewart team-up was extremely successful and actually did wonders for Kmart, which was starting to have a dip in popularity in the 90s. However though, the collab with Martha Stewart came to an end in 2009 due to diminishing sales and a comment she made on CNBC where she claimed that her products weren't selling well due to Kmart doing a merger with Sears. Yeah, more on that soon. So that was the end of that. And this wasn't the only outside relations that would sour with Kmart, as game company Sega would sue Kmart for not being fully paid for an assignment of Dreamcast game systems. Ugh. The Dreamcast was a load of old stinky balls anyway. And Target sued Kmart for an advertising campaign called Dare to Compare, where Kmart compared its low prices to Target, in which most of the comparisons were wrong. Whoops. Uh-oh, spaghetti-os, as they say. Number 2, the downfall of Kmart. Things would start to rear their ugly head for Kmart in the year 2000, when 72 stores that weren't doing well were closed down. As the 2000s went on, the company filed for bankruptcy. Now, some things that have been put forth that resulted to Kmart going bankrupt include intense competition from rival retailers, failed sales, and economic recessions. And as time went on, something else which would not have helped was the shift to online shopping, which would have gone against Kmart's warehouse shopping structure. Regardless, Kmart was no longer a retailer leader, but it was now in a state of financial disaster. As time went by, more and more stores would close down, with employees frequently being laid off. The company would eventually have a merge with Sears, and things did seem to stabilize for a while. However, come the 2010s, and it was felt that Kmart was outdated and that the stores themselves looked like they were decaying. Both Kmart and Sears began to plummet. As the 2010s went on, yet again more and more stores would be closed down, even during the holiday seasons when business should be thriving. But the sales were really low and disappointing. By the time you get to 2018 and 2019, Sears themselves also filed for bankruptcy, and most of the Kmart stores were pretty much closed down. The last major Kmart store in the States, which was located in New York, finally shut its doors in 2024, which to many people brought with it the final chapter to Kmart. The last nail in the Kmart coffin, if you will. And as it stands, at the current time, there is only one Kmart left in America, which is located in Florida. And so, just like that, a company which had a glorious start all the way back to 1897 had come to a sad whimper of an end. Except it hasn't, because, number 1, Kmart lives on. Yeah, g'day mate, we're going to Australia. Now, if you can believe it, not only is Kmart still around in Australia, but it's absolutely thriving. So to prove this, I decided to put on a pair of my video recording smart glasses and head out to a local Kmart so you guys can see it for yourselves. And so those outside Australia can relive going to Kmart just one more time. Now, Kmart here is owned by a separate entity, known as West Farmers, and there are several reasons given for its huge ongoing success here, such as high quality products at low costs, the use of digital and social influencers, and no, I'm not a part of that, I'm just making that clear, as well as price consistency and well, nostalgia. In fact, I can remember there was this big thing a few years ago during the COVID era when a really, really long and strict lockdown was finally lifted. The first thing many people did was head down to Kmart. In fact, there was a massive line of people lining up just to get into the place, like they were lining up for a rock concert or something. And the line was huge, so people seriously missed Kmart. Or could it be that to many people, Kmart is just a comfort? A nice way of going back to normalcy during very hectic times. The only downside that seems to annoy people is the checkout where you pay for your goods is right in the middle of the store, as opposed to the store's entrance and exit. So when you buy something and then leave the store, you then have to have your bag searched and provide the receipts to the employer at the door to prove that you did pay for these goods and you're not just walking out the store with them. Once again, because the checkout isn't at the exit but in the middle of the store. So if someone's walking out with goods, they don't know who's paid for it and who's stealing it. So because of this cockamamie design flaw, we're all kind of treated like potential criminals. Yeah, you have to prove that you bought these products that you just legally paid for. A system that I think pretty much everyone hates. But this poor design flaw aside, Kmart here is still a staple of society. So if you ever want to experience Kmart again, go to Australia. And you'll see that this store is absolutely thriving and still works wonders. And all said and done, you won't find another pair of Pringles pajamas like this anywhere else. It's been a pet project of mine for a while now to make a Kmart episode. Simply because when I tell my American followers that we have Kmart here in Australia, they're always shocked. Like, you guys have Kmart? How did that happen? And these responses always surprise me because Kmart has always been here in Australia. Everyone here has grown up with it. But it's a double whammy because they then get even more shocked when I tell them that not only do we have Kmart, but it's actually really booming here. It's a really successful enterprise. Once again, this is a shock to Americans because sadly, once again, America has more or less lost its Kmart. And I would always get comments like, wow, I wish we still had Kmart. And they would say things like they used to love going there and that it was a part of their childhoods. So that's why I wanted to make this video, to give my American followers that Kmart magic just one last time. Anyway, I'm Minty, and never forget the Kmart motto, which is, we're here to make everyday living brighter. Well, when you think about it, that's pretty much the common goal that everyone strives for. So, yeah, kind of sums up life itself when you think about it. See ya!